Okay, we're going to do a demonstration here today regarding grain entrapment. And grain entrapment is a very serious problem on farms and at storage facilities. Grain entrapment is almost universally fatal when it occurs. 70% of grain entrapments occur on farms, and 68% of these occur around steel bins. 45% involve corn. Most of the time it's corn that's out of condition, that's frozen or clotted together, and people walk on it and it forms a bridge and they fall down and end up sinking in the corn. Grain entrapments kill quite a few people, and in fact in the last few years about 74% of people that were entrapped died from their injuries and died from entrapment. So this is something that's very important for us to learn how to deal with. And one of the problems with grain entrapment is it tends to happen in the fall. In the fall we tend to see colder temperatures, so we see people having problems with hypothermia. In addition, grain moves almost like a liquid, so that if you take a breath and exhale, when you exhale it moves in around you, so your air ability to breathe gets smaller and smaller every time. Grain is really heavy, and that's why we're showing you how to use the grain extractor today. If the gentlemen and women in the truck were to try to pull that mannequin out, you would have to do a 900-pound bicep curl to lift that mannequin out of the truck right now. So we use the grain extractor to help us clear out around the mannequin so that we can get him out. If he were completely buried, it would take 1,500 pounds of strength, pulling strength, to get that person out of the grain. And what would happen is you would actually pull off limbs or separate your victim in half. So that's the importance of using the grain extractor. People can become engulfed in as little as 11 seconds in flowing grain. So we'll let these guys show you what they do best.
So we're going to simulate that somebody's stuck in the grain here, obviously. So what they're going to start doing is they're going to start putting webbing down. And actually, if this was, say, in a grain bin or something like that, we're just going to actually have our guys tethered too, because where that pocket hit him, it could hit us. We want to make sure that nobody else goes down. So they're going to wrap webbing around him so that we've got a good hold of him when we start doing this. They're going to leave two guys behind there. They're going to be doing other jobs, but mainly they're going to make sure that he's not going down anymore. What she's doing, or what they're doing with that PVC pipe, you know, if you go straight, everybody thinks you're going to go straight down. Who's to say a leg doesn't kick out or something like that? So our goal is to get that grain out from at least, you know, you want to get the knee out, because if you start pulling, you could possibly dislocate that. It's got, I believe, 6 separate pieces. What they're going to do is they're going to push that down. And how we're going to work this is it's going to go around that person, and that's going to help where the grain's not going to come back down on the person. And there's actually an auger you'll see that'll actually have that come out. So that equipment there, it's about 60 inches, so 28 inches diameter is probably what you're going to get in there, give or take a few inches. Altogether, that equipment's probably about 120 pounds, so it's a little heavy to move around all it together. That auger that they're going to put in here in a minute, it can move about 2 bushels a minute, so it moves it at a pretty good clip. Something cool about this, and this is a joint training too, I should note, from Stoddard and Coon Valley. We've actually been working together pretty well here. We did a training last fall and on this as well, and we trained together on this with Shelby and a couple other departments too. This equipment was actually donated to us through Cargill. Terry Rudai is in the area, and she had an opportunity for a grant, and we're fortunate to get this. And the whole reason too for all the PPE that they're wearing, you know, you don't know what you're going to have in there. Obviously you're going to want grain, but you know, weird things happen where you get stuff in there. So you know, we're walking around on that grain. How we don't sink, fortunately Stoddard's chief works for Pepsi. So what we've done is we've gotten Pepsi crates. You flip them upside down, that's enough of a base, we're not going to sink. They're light, they're easy to move and everything else. So So right now, they've got that cofferdam together. They're going to start moving that auger around and start taking some of that corn out. And they're just going to keep doing that until they get enough of enough out to get him out. Another thing to keep in mind too is while these guys are out here, it's a nice breezy day where we're wide open. If you're in a grain bin, you're not getting that. So we're going to be fully masked up. SCBA's, you know, we got our air packs and everything else that we're going to wear. It's hot, very, very hot. So, you know, another thing too we're worried about with the victim is hypothermia. You know, you're sitting in there. Our big thing that we're going to try to manage, and a lot of these guys in here are fire and EMS. We're going to start trying to manage what we call ABCs, the airway, the breathing, the circulation. We want to make sure that's how we sustain life, is to manage the ABCs. So, you know, we're going to try to do that. They might even be oxygen if we can get them, if they're still alive, we can get in there to try to do that. So.
How do you find, if you're totally buried, how do you look for them?
You're going to probably start where, if they're in a grain bin or something like this, you're going to try emptying it out as best you can. I mean, between shovels and drill, I mean, there's different methods we can use. Like in a grain bin, you can cut a triangle into the side of the bin with an end loader and stuff like that. You can start getting the grain out. You know, and Kim could tell me better, but if you're completely submerged, I can't imagine you got a lot of time left to be able to get to somebody. So
that's why we tell people to use lifelines when they go in grain bins, because you've got a line attached to it. You can't pull somebody out by it because you'll rip them in half. But at least you know where they are because you'll see the line. And so that's, you know, one of the main safety things that we tell people. Never go in a grain bin by yourself. You always have at least one, if not two, preferably with you, and then a lifeline attached.
When they die, is it crushed? Is it suffocate?
Suffocation is the main cause of death, because corn goes in all your openings, and it's the pressure from that corn is so great. I mean, if it takes 1,200 pounds of strength to lift somebody out, think about the compression on the body, and then they can't breathe because their chest is so basically they're asphyxiated.
So as long as I can, and I can embarrass her, and I just met Terry myself. Terry is right over here. She's the one that got us the equipment, so we do want to say thank you to her. Russ puts me on the spot all the time, Terry, so I'd put you. So now they've got enough grain out, they're going to be able to extricate them out of there. So what they're going to do is they're going to take that apart, and with that webbing that's on there earlier, they're going to be able to load him up. And using part of the equipment there, you can almost kind of make a slide, and it's going to help you get a little bit of an angle and to get him out.
You'll notice that the guys over here, they sink, if you're walking on corn that's normal, you'll sink about 12 inches. If you ever walk on corn, which we don't recommend, and you are standing on top of it, you better darn well get off of it, because that means there's a bridge there and you could be down in it, no problem. So if you're ever walking on corn and you don't sink 12 inches, get out of there.
And that's Brian. Brian just got on that, so you can see how much that's even helping.
What we use is actually a pop crate. You flip them upside down, it's just like snowshoes. So I'm standing on one right now. When I stop off, I sink right in. Most of us have seen people in corn before. Very hard to move, just like walking in sand. But once we stand on these pop crates, it allows us to be able to work much more easily and efficiently.
So now Stoddard and Coon Valley, and most of our agencies, and actually all of our agencies in Vernon County, are EMT or our first responder certified. So what's going to happen is this tri-state's going to come to our area. So we're going to have paramedics there, probably MedLink if there's still a chance that we're going to save them, and they're going to start giving some, you know, medication, start doing some other interventions more than what we can do. But again, keep in mind that grain bin. So now we've got him out, but you got to go back to the top to get back down. You know, if you're not down to the bottom. So, you know, that's going to end up having a basket. We're going to end up using ropes. We're going to end up having, you know, if the Coon Valley would get the call, we're going to probably have 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 departments there. If anybody else, it's not just us. So we might have the equipment, but you know, we could end up, say, in theory, down to DeSoto, really, if they needed it. I mean, it's a tool that we're fortunate to have. It's a tool that I hope I never have to use other than this. I love doing trainings like this so that we're familiar with it, but obviously you never want to do it on a call. But again, this is going to give us a better chance once you're able to find them, especially if they're not fully submerged. It's going to be a more controlled environment for us. So for this stuff, in the 7 years I've been doing this, and I've been on 3 different departments, knock on wood, I've never had one. It depends. I mean, it really depends. I know they've had some. I think they've had some around here. It's a luck of the draw, unfortunately.
We get about 7 people in the state dying a year with this. About 7.
Yeah.
Wisconsin and Iowa, the tri-state area. I know Iowa for sure has had 7 last year. And a lot of them are kids playing in gravity wagons. My husband's cousin's godson died at age 12 in a gravity wagon. We don't even know what they're doing. At 12, you think they know better, but he's around in a gravity wagon. So, you know, it happens.
So now they're just putting it back in for the next demonstration. I'm sorry, yeah. So we're done with this. They're going to put them back in there so we can get the next demonstration going. But you can kind of see too again. So I guess too what I'll do is when they start getting that grain out, that's not fully locked yet because they're still dropping that down. So if you only get so much out, they're going to start pushing that down more, trying to work that around. You can kind of see how they're trying to get more out to get them back in there. So again, it's very cool, and it's really cool that it was donated through Cargill. I mean, the fact that they're recognizing the grain safety for everybody, that we can help them. So it's one thing where if we have a call like this, and this is a joint thing between Stoddard and Coon Valley right now, Stoddard came up, but you know, Genoa could be here, Shelby could be here. If it's here, we might have 4 or 5 departments because of what this is. So does anybody have questions?
Thank you. Awesome demonstration.
Okay, thank you guys.